So it's been confirmed. ELEGOO has announced on their Twitter page, and I had no idea because I don't use Twitter except for a few days ago. So I started using Twitter, and I see that they have announced their 2 California king-sized build plates. ELEGOO is launching the Neptune 3 Plus and the Neptune 3 Max. They have a build size of 320 by 320 by 400 millimeters, which is pretty much, I think it's exactly the same, very close to the same as the Creality CR10 V3 that I have, and I've had a lot of problems with because it doesn't have the auto leveling. No, I'm not gonna get a BL Touch or whatever the fuck that thing is. I don't need that, okay? I spent way too much money on that thing and it's giving me nothing but problems, so shut your mouth. This one looks a lot better. It has an auto leveling system. It has a direct extruder drive system. It looks fantastic. The other one is a Neptune 3 Max, and it is a massive, whopping 420 by 420 by 500 millimeter build space. That is huge. These two are going to be great if you're going to be looking for printing helmets, big swords, all kinds of shit like that. This is right up your alley, basically. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you the tweet right here on the screen. This is ELEGOO official. They say, "We feel glad to say that our 2 supersized FDM 3D printers will be launched soon. The Neptune 3 Plus and the Neptune 3 Max. The ELEGOO Neptune 3 Plus has a build volume of 320, 320, 400, and the Neptune 3 Max printer will even help print a max size up to 420, 420, 500. So it looks like they have this little letter here that they sent out, maybe in an email, going over the basic specs and the price. I think this is great that they're telling people what the price is so that they can start making decisions, especially before the holidays. They have a chance to really think about, do they want to go in on, you know, which type of printer. I have 3 of the ELEGOO Neptune 3s. That's the base model, and I knew it was the base model, but I don't need these bigger, you know, and the Pro. I don't need this stuff. I don't need the direct extruder. I don't need that stuff. I have similar stuff on the Creality CR10 V3, and I spent, like I said, I spent a lot of money on that one, so pretty good value at the time in the summer when these first launched, and they have printed pretty well, pretty successful with those, and I really like the auto leveling feature. I am not going back to anything else. The Creality CR10 V3, like I said, was way more expensive than these, and you have to manually level it, and there's a lot of quirks that you have to figure out to get it to print nicely. I would suggest going with the magnetic build plates that they have these days. Those are fantastic. I wouldn't do it any other way. Those, because you can bend them and they pop up the prints, and a lot of them come with a textured surface so that it helps with the bed adhesion with that first layer. That's the trickiest part of 3D printing, is getting that first layer on there. And these more modern style print beds, these magnetic beds, are fantastic at that. And they're cheaper than the glass beds, so I don't know why you would get a glass bed after that. So you can see the prices here. The Neptune 3 Plus is going on Amazon in the US for $350, and the Max is going for $470. Now, I don't think I would ever need a Max. I would rather have a conveyor belt style printer that continuously can print. You know, if I'm printing that big, I'm gonna want something that just can print, you know, a gigantic sword type of thing, although I don't print cosplay, except for like the 3 or 4 helmets that are sitting over there on a shelf. I think this is great. Some people were complaining. They were saying, yeah, you know, I bought the base model, but you guys are releasing these new models. It's the same printer, it's just got upgrades on it, and it's just got a little aesthetics on it. I did notice that they may not have even thought about is the problem of the positioning of the micro SD card. When I tweeted out my comment, I accidentally said it was a micro USB. I had just done a bunch of jump rope. I was not in the right mind. Okay, I only had 1 coffee this morning. Forgive me. The micro USB, or there I go, I said it again. The micro SD card slot, if you'll notice on the Neptune 3 design, remember this is a platformed design that they're having various models come out for. The micro SD card slot is annoyingly right under where the bed plate comes out, so you have to push the bed plate all the way back, and then you push your thumb in there and you slide out the micro SD card, and then you can, you know, go, you know, flash another file onto that, and then you got to put it back in. I don't know. For me, it's just really annoying, especially if you have a even bigger printer and you have that teeny tiny little micro SD card slot and it's still in that same annoying position. I think that's just gonna get on people's nerves. So I think they dropped the ball on that one. But like I said, it's a platformed, you know, type of printer, like the Galaxy phones, you know, they're all, it's a platform, you know, and they just keep adding to it. One of the things that they are pointing out is that, it says it right here, the AC voltage input range on the Neptune 3 Plus and the Neptune 3 Max printers, right, the two big ones, are designed to protect the printer by accepting different voltage inputs to meet the application requirements. This means that the machine's power can be directly plugged in for use. You don't need to adjust the voltage in advance. Okay, so there's usually that little thing on the power block. I think it automatically it'll switch over to which one you're working with, like 110, 120, and then like 210, 240, depending on where you live in the world. It just takes one step out of the guesswork and, you know, people getting, you know, messing up and accidentally plugging it in the wrong way. They do have a chart comparing the different printers, and I do want to show you that really quick. I think this is a fantastic little chart. So they have the price of the Pro, the Plus, and the Max. So you can see it's exactly the same printer, and there's some slight differences that you need to know about. So the Neptune 3 Pro differs from the original Neptune 3. I have 3 of them, and they're great. Although you'll notice this one doesn't have a Bowden, whatever the hell that thing's called, the Bowden tube sticking out, you know, from the side going to the middle, like you see on the Ender 3s. It has a direct drive, so the spool goes over the top, kind of centered, and then it goes straight down into the, it looks like it has a filament sensor on the top there, so it'll go through the filament sensor straight there, and then straight down to the, where you feed the filament into the direct drive extruder. Okay, so it goes straight down in there. There's going to be a spring-loaded thing, I guarantee. And then you squeeze that and you put it through. My CR10 V3 has something very similar, and it's pretty good, actually. That's pretty much my favorite part of that printer, and the best part of it. The only thing is, it's extremely complicated to disassemble and put back together. I haven't seen this one yet, and I probably won't, because, you know, I've spent my money, but I do want to make all of you aware that this is coming and you have all of these options for your budget. So the Neptune 3 Pro 230, Neptune 3 Plus 350, and the Neptune 3 Max 470, like I said, they all come with the magnetic platforms, which is fantastic. I love those things. There's a little hack that I'm going to make a quick video on soon. If you didn't know, I made a short about a 3D printing hack using a plastic bag. It costs, you know, barely 2 cents. And you can use that to put it over your printer and to get more constant success with your printers, because as the weather cools, or if you even have a draft in the summer, I had a printer in a corner and it was peeling up on one side and I didn't know why. It's because the way that the room was designed, the way that the printer was positioned, the air was drafting right through there and it was peeling up on that one spot. So the way to fix that is to put it in an enclosure. Some people have really nice acrylic enclosures, or, you know, other things. I will be making a more like a sturdier thing, like the bag is just a little hack, but for now it's working great. So check out that YouTube short for sure. It's over 5,000 views. It's doing fantastic. I'm very excited about it. Okay, so the other upgrades, it has a titanium alloy throat tube on all of them. That's where it goes straight in. You can see that in my CR10 V3 FIX video. It has a similar thing. It's just where the filament goes right in there. A lot of people will argue it matters the way that the filament is coming into the nozzle. If it's like varying too much, then you can get failed prints. You'll get like errors on your print on each layer. It's very technical and it's kind of out of the scope of this video, and I'm not really experienced to talk about that, but there are some people who are very into that stuff and it matters for them, so just be aware of that. So this is a definite good upgrade. The capacitive touchscreen is the same. It's fine. They didn't need to upgrade it anyway. I like it. And another upgrade that a lot of people, it's a cheap upgrade, but a lot of people care about this, is the LED light bar. So you're going to have LED light bar on the top, and it'll cast, you know, some light on what you're printing, so you'll be able to see those surfaces. It really matters if you're very concerned about how each layer is coming out, especially those longer term prints, like a helmet. If you're printing like a cosplay helmet, you're gonna want to see if it's hitting the layers and the supports as well, right where it's supposed to be. Otherwise you get a failure. And you know, I had a near failure with all three of the past helmets that I've printed, the Halo Master Chief one and the two Star Wars helmets. The supports were the part that was failing. The actual print was fine, but the supports were so thin and they were just so flimsy. They would start wobbling, so I had to like tape it mid-print, and it was fine, but it was, and then it was like off, it was like off axis. It was like, you know, to the side. I barely taped it in the right place, so it barely started, you know, going up and to this position where it was supposed to be. But anyway, yeah, LED light bar, that can help a lot with the first layer and with longer, you know, longer prints. You'll notice the power consumption. Power consumption can actually be a big deal if you are running multiple printers or if you're doing a print farm. I have a little farmette. I got 3 plus 1. I started to think about, do I have the electrical capacity in this house to power, you know, 3 printers, plus there's like 2 refrigerators where they are. They're, you know, they're down in the garage. Can the circuit breaker handle all this power? And they show you how much power it's gonna draw out of that, and you need to do your own research. I barely understand it. You need to do your own research or ask an electrician how many, you know, printers can go into what kind of, you know, electrical setup. That's just what you got to do. But I think my CR10 V3 also runs at about 500 watts, so that does look familiar. It's a big printer. Does a lot of. You'll notice the bed temperature can go up to 100 degrees Celsius. I usually go up to like 50 or something like that, 50 to 60, and that seems to work fine. It depends on how fast you're printing, what material you're printing. All of that comes into play. The printing speed, I did not know that these could go up to 180 millimeters per second. That's insane. Like, how do you even, what are you printing that's 180 millimeters per second? Jeez. I don't even know what settings I would put that on, unless you had like a giant nozzle where it's just like oozing out, like, you know, and then you could print something really fast. I have no idea. If you know how to print at that speed, please leave a comment below. I want to know, because I saw some big nozzle prints and they looked really cool at the last ERRF, the East Coast 3D Printing Festival. There was like a shark that was printed. It was awesome looking, and I didn't get a photo of it because I was too busy talking to people. The nozzle temperature goes up to 260 degrees Celsius. So just keep in mind, I mean, if you're maxing the you know, these machines, if you're maxing these machines out, you're going to add to the wear and tear on your machine faster. The value is going to depreciate quicker over time, and you're going to end up getting replacement parts eventually. So just keep that in mind. But I think these are great value. The Neptune 3 Max is, I believe, the size of my CR10 V3. That looks familiar. The 420 by 500. Actually, let me check.
2 hours later.
The CR10 V3 is a 300 by 300 by 400. So the Max is bigger than that. So there you go. And it's cheaper, 470. And the CR10 V3 is an older model, and it's on sale for $359, and it does not have auto leveling. It is, that's why it's on sale, boys. It's on clearance because it doesn't have auto leveling. It's an aging printer. Oh, one thing I did notice is they have the dual Z-axis. Yeah, they have dual lead screws and motors for their Z-axis. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if that's necessary for most people's printers. I guess the more the better. I had some issues where the two would go out of sync often on my CR10 V3, no matter how perfectly tight I had it. Shut up. I have a whole video on it. Go check it out. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the build quality. Maybe there's a lot more factors going into play. But if you look closely, you will notice the Neptune 3 Plus and the Neptune 3 Max have these stabilizing rods on the side, just like the CR10 V3. I operated without these for a while just fine, and I have recently put them on, and I don't know if it makes a huge difference, but you know, why not? If they say it's going to help stabilize it, it makes sense. The taller your thing's getting, the more stable you're going to want it to be, and you just have, you know, these two gantries, I guess that's what they're called. These two, let's call them poles, okay? You have two poles, you know, it's just a doorway, and it could wobble, you know, back and forth. So why not have it more stable? Overall, these are fantastic budget printers. It's a great series, I think, for anybody looking to get into 3D printing or upgrading their current printers. Just go with what your budget, you know, can afford. I would like a bamboo, that new bamboo printer. Maybe later, yeah. Had a lot of successful prints with the ELEGOO Neptune 3, and I really love their auto leveling system. The Pro and the Max and the Plus, they all have even more auto leveling points. So it goes in and it goes and it senses the, you know, the build plate twice. It goes down and then it goes slower, and it gets a more accurate measurement of where the build plate is at all those different points. I think the base model is 16. It goes up from there to 36 points, and then the Neptune 3 Plus is 49 points, and the Max is 63 points. So the more the merrier. You're gonna need more points as the build plate gets larger, and that leaves less room for error. Definitely go check them out on their site. The link is in the description below, and the tweet is also linked below. Both of those will have a check mark next to them, so you know that's the links that I want you to go to. So what do you think? Are these worth the buy? Have you already bought a printer recently? Are you angry like some of the other people on there? I'm not. Does size matter? What are you going to print? That's all that matters. So if you're curious or just getting into 3D printing and electronics, I'm your guy, because I've been through a lot of pain, okay? In-home manufacturing is the future, and you better get ahead of the curve. So join me on my journey in learning how to design my own 3D printed models and dabbling into electronics and coding chips. It's very complicated stuff, but it can be a lot of fun. Also, check out my live streams that I did in the past where I showed you how I code Raspberry Pi stuff. I did a camera build, a Wi-Fi camera build. I also show you my 3D modeling process where I use CAD, which is a very accurate way to, you know, map out stuff. People have been using it forever, and now it's free. Make sure to like and subscribe to my stuff. I really appreciate you watching to the end of the video. And that's it. So let's finish the year out strong. Let's make December a really good one, okay? Let's get some work done and stay grounded while we do it. The holidays are coming around really fast. You're gonna have people that you don't know what to give them. Why not give them my emoji coaster set, okay? It's high quality stuff. Go check it out. Check it out on my website. Go check it out on Etsy. It's good. It works. It'll fit any size mug as long as you have a bottom. So make sure to stick around for the next videos. I have a lot to show you and share with you. I have a surprise electronic review coming up. Something that I picked up in the last Maker Faire, and it just released, and I got it super fast, and I'm very excited to show you what it is. So stay tuned.